hi to Unimox. My name is Padmanjali Chauhan and I'll be teaching you for the CUET history domain. Today, we continue with the 4th unit on Buddhism. Alright? Today, we're going to start talking about the Buddha and his quest for enlightenment. Alright, Buddha's message spread across the subcontinent. Alright, from Central Asia to China, Japan, and Korea, and from Sri Lanka to Thailand, Indonesia, and Myanmar. Alright? So basically the Eastern world was sort of got covered, okay, by Buddha's teachings. Alright, everybody, because of the peaceful message, because of his beautiful messages, everybody wanted to learn more about Buddha's ideas. Okay, his teachings were reconstructed through Buddhist texts, obviously, and hagiographies. Now, what are hagiographies? Hagiographies are biographies of a saint. Alright? Now, before we go further into what his teachings were, let's understand who Buddha was as a person. Okay? Now, before he became Buddha or the enlightened one, he was Siddhartha. Alright? Siddhartha was the son of a chief of the Sakya clan. Okay? He had a very sheltered childhood. Alright? His parents did not expose him to the harsh realities of the world. Alright? Now, one day he persuaded his charioteer. He was roaming around, and one day he persuaded his charioteer to take him into the city. Alright? He wanted to see what the city was like. Now, when he entered the city, he saw very disturbing sights. Alright? He saw an old man, a sickly man, and a corpse. Alright? This filled him with a lot of anguish. Okay, he wasn't very happy seeing these sights. But he also realized that the decay of the body was a reality of life itself, right? That a person has to at the end of his life perish and decay. Alright? Now, at the same time, while he was walking through the city, he saw a poor man, okay? A poor man who'd come to terms about the harsh realities of life, okay? He'd come to terms that this is how life is and we have to live it whether we like it or not, okay? And he wanted exactly this. He wanted to come to terms with the harsh realities of life. So he left his father's place, his beautiful little house and, whatever possessions he had. He left all of it, ran away from home in search of enlightenment. Now, initially, in the initial stages, he led himself into situations that were very harsh, okay, that almost led him to his death. But soon enough, he realized that that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how he's supposed to pay penance, okay. Instead, he turned to meditating. He started meditating, and slowly but surely, he attained enlightenment. Okay, and that's when he became Buddha. That's when he became the Buddha, or the enlightened one. The enlightened one. All right, and for the rest of his life after that, for the rest of his life, he started teaching Dhamma, alright, or the path of life, okay, or the path of righteous living, alright. Now, let's get into the teachings of the Buddha. The teachings of the Buddha are found in one of the most important texts of Buddhism, the Sutta Pitaka, alright. Now, the Buddha tried to convince people of his ideas, of his teachings with persuasion and reason, okay, instead of using supernatural power, right? That, oh, I know everything, I have power, I'm God. None of that. Just with reason and with pure persuasion, okay? This is what I'm saying, and I hope you understand what I'm trying to say and that I'm right. All right. Now, the Buddhist philosophy is very simple. It says that the world is transient. All right. Transient or anika. And that it is constantly changing. Okay. Apart from that, the world is soulless or annata. And that nothing is permanent or eternal in it. Therefore, constantly changing. Correct? Now, within it lies sorrow or dukkha. Within the world lies sorrow and it is intrinsic to human existence. Alright? Now, the only way to get rid of this sorrow is through penance, okay, and righteous living, okay? The only way to come out of the sorrow is through penance and righteous living. Righteous living. Alright? Now, in early Buddhism, whether God existed or not was irrelevant. Okay, he did not care whether God existed or not. He just wanted people, Buddhism as an ideology, as teachings, were a way of life. Okay, it wasn't supposed to be a religion, it was supposed to be a way of living life, of making your existence a little more sweeter, okay, a little less filled with sorrow. Alright? Now, the social world, according to the Buddha, was a creation of humans, okay? There was no divine origin attached to it, okay? No God made the social order, okay? The Varna system, as we know it, alright? He asked kings and Gahapatis, landowners, to be humane to people who are under them, okay? For kings to be humane to his subjects, for Gahapatis to be humane to his cultivators, alright, to his slaves. Just, be nicer, be kinder, alright? He emphasized on individual agency and righteous action to escape the cycle of rebirth. We talked about this in the previous class as well, correct? Now, he wanted that the people should attain self-realization and nibbana, alright? Self-realization, be constantly aware of one's actions, okay? Be constantly aware of one's self, your actions, basically what you're implying on other people, alright, or imposing on other people. Just always be aware of yourself. And apart from self-realization, nibbana, attain nibbana, alright? Nibbana means to extinguish one's desires and ego. Alright? So, he wanted people to attain self-realization and nibbana to end the cycle of suffering, right? If you're going to extinguish your ego and unnecessary desires, you are going to have more peace in your life, alright? You're going to end your suffering that you're imposing upon yourself. Alright, his last words were, be lamps unto yourselves, as all of you must work out your own liberation. Alright? Be lamps unto yourself. Work out your own liberation. Alright? He meant that a person should be self-dependent. Alright? You yourself have to work out of your suffering. Do not depend on other people. This meaning will go, when we go further into this chapter, you will realize that this meaning changes as Buddhism turns from a way of life into a religion. Alright? Now, the followers of the Buddha. Obviously, beautiful teachings. Because of that, because of the way of life he was leading, the disciples of the Buddha grew. Okay? And because they were growing, they founded the Sangha. Alright? Or Buddha founded the Sangha. Alright? Now, people or disciples of the Buddha, they became teachers of Dhamma. Right? Understandable, very easy to understand. Okay? Now, Buddhist monks lived very simple lives, okay? They lived on alms, they only possessed prerequisites for survival, okay? Things that they needed to survive, nothing extra, okay? And they were called bhikkhus, okay? Now, initially, Buddhism or the Sangha only had men in it. Okay, there were only bhikkhus. But one of Buddha's most dearest disciples, Ananda, mediated for women to be allowed into the Sangha as well. Alright? And then the first female bhikkhuni came into the Sangha. Her name was Mahapajapati Gautami, and she was the foster mother of the Buddha. Alright? Foster mother. Mahapajapati Bhikkhuni. Very important name, remember. Okay? Now, women who became bhikkhunis, who understood Dhamma, who started teaching Dhamma, they became theris. Okay? Theris, women who were respected, who attained liberation. Alright? Respected women who attained liberation. Alright? Because they could teach Dhamma. Right? Now, the Buddha's followers came from all social backgrounds, right? Obviously, I told you, we talked about this earlier as well, okay? Because people were tired of what the Vedas and the Sutras and the Shastras were trying to impose of them, of the very extreme social life that was being imposed on, social order that was being imposed on them, they wanted to rid themselves of it, all right? So whether they be kings, whether they be landowners, whether they be artisans or farmers, okay? Farmers, artisans, everybody joined or wanted to become the followers of the Buddha, okay? Within the Sangha, because within the Sangha, everybody was equal. Your social background did not matter. Whether you were king or whether you were cultivator, it did not matter. In the Sangha, you were all equal, okay? Now, the internal functioning of the Sangha was much like the Gahas and the Sanghas that we've talked about previously in the second unit, alright? Discussion and deliberation took place to come to a consensus of a problem, and if that didn't work, then the members of the Sangha voted amongst each other, alright? Excuse me. Now, people dissatisfied with existing religious practice turned to Buddhism. I told you previously as well, right? They were tired of what the religion was imposing on them, okay? They were tired of being divided into varnas, into social categories unnecessarily, social categories that were given divine origin, right? And therefore, they turned to Buddhism, all right? To at least be treated like equals, okay? Now, the emphasis, the main idea was on conduct, okay? Emphasis was laid on conduct and values rather than claims of superiority on birth, okay? What your values are, how you conduct yourself between, among people, okay? Your claim to superiority on birth is irrelevant, okay? It also emphasized on metta and karuna, okay? Metta and karuna, meaning, sorry, Shubham, ye edit kar dena, okay? It emphasized on metta and karuna, okay? Metta means fellow feeling, and karuna meaning compassion, all right? For the weaker and for the younger, okay? Fellow feeling and compassion towards the weaker and the younger, all right? Now, coming to an important part, a very important part of Buddhism, the stupas. Chaityas were built at places significant to Buddha's life, all right? Now, you're going to tell me what chaityas are. Tell me in the comments down below. You have the NCERT with you. Tell me what chaityas are, all right? Chaityas were built at places significant to the Buddha's life. Number one, where he was born. He was born in Lumbini, all right? Number two, where he attained enlightenment, which was at Bodh Gaya, right? Number three, where he gave his first sermon. First sermon he gave at Sarnath. And lastly, where he attained Nibbana. He attained Nibbana at a place called Kushinagara. Alright, these four places are where the first chaityas were built. Alright? Now, why were the stupas built? Stupas are places where relics of the Buddha were buried. Relics like his bodily remains or things that he was associated with, his possessions, okay? This is where his relics were buried, okay? The erection of stupas, this is a theory, the erection of stupas was probably pre-Buddhist, but it has been come to being related to Buddhism, alright? Now, relics were regarded as sacred. Obviously, they're Buddha's relics, okay? His bodily remains, his bones, whatever, right? And they were venerated as emblems of the Buddha or Buddhism, okay? Now, according to a Buddhist text called Ashokavadana, the king Ashoka distributed Buddha's relics to important towns and ordered the construction of stupas over there, okay, on top, like lay down those relics and then build stupas on top of it. That is why by the second century, the stupas were built at Barhut, at Sanchi, and at Sarnath. Alright? Understood? Now, how were the stupas built? Who gave money? Okay, who donated to get the stupas built? Alright? Inscriptions on the stupas give us record of the donations made for building and decorating the building. Alright? For example, kings donated like the Satvahanas. Okay? Guilds also donated money. Ordinary men and women gave money. Now, in some cases, in some inscriptions, the name of these people, their occupation and their place of residence was mentioned on the inscription. Alright? Apart from all of them, even the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis donated for the building of the stupa. Okay? Now, most important part, the structure of the stupa. Okay? The stupa or the heap originated as a simple semicircular mound of earth called an anda, okay? So a semicircular mound of earth, alright? It evolved into a complex structure later in life. Is there a picture of the stupa, of an early stupa? This is a picture of an early stupa, alright? Just a semicircular mound of earth, correct? Now, above the anda came the harmika. I have a picture of the stupa later into the slides to show you what exactly it looked like, but just depend on my very bad drawing for now, okay? Above the anda came the harmika, a balcony-like structure, alright? And it represented the abode of God. This is where gods come and sit, okay? You can also see with the structure of the later stupas, the Buddhism turning into a sort of a religion, right? Gods are being mentioned now, alright? Now, arising from the harmika came a mast called a yashti, alright? This called a yashti, and the yashti was surmounted by a chhatri, or literally meaning an umbrella, right? Railing surrounded the mound, separating the sacred space from the secular world, alright? This is a railing. This is a very bad drawing of a stupa. Actually, no, it's not that bad, guys. It's fairly decent, okay? But a drawing of a stupa, okay? For you to understand while I'm explaining, okay? Now, early stupas at Sanchi and Barut were plain, okay? They had wooden or bamboo railings surrounding it, and it had 4 very richly carved gateways on all the 4 cardinal points, north, south, east, west, alright? Worshippers entered from the eastern gateway and they walked around the mound on the right. So you enter and then you take a right and you walk around the mound from the right, basically imitating the sun's course through the sky, alright? Understood? Now, later stupas became more elaborately carved with structures, with sculptures and niches, or are very pretty to look at. These were found at Amravati and a place called Shaji Ki Dheri in Peshawar, Pakistan. Okay? Now, this is a structure of a stupa. Okay? So, anda, right? This is the staircase leading up, walkway, correct? The little railing to separate the stupa, the sacred space, from the the sacred space from the secular world, right? The Harmika, right? The balcony, the Yashti, the mast, and the Chhatris. Correct? Understood? I hope you all like this video. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Add in the comments down below if you have any questions. I asked you a question, right? What a Chaitya is, correct? Answer that question in the comments down below. If you have anything else to add for this chapter, leave that also in the comments down below. Ask me questions. I will try my best to reply. And for more such informational content, subscribe to Unimonks. Thank you for watching. Bye.